Okay, welcome everyone, all you book lovers out there, to Valley of Words International Literature and Arts Festival, our fourth edition. And today, not only are we going to launch a very special book, but we are so proud and happy to have with us a very special author as well. And I'm talking about Ayan, who is the youngest author in India. He's all of 7 years old. And welcome, Ayan, to Valley of Words. You want to say something?
Yes, I'm very grateful for everything. Thank you for launching my book. I feel very honored.
Thank you, Ayan, for those lovely words. So, you are 7 years old. Can you tell me when is your birthday?
My birthday is in August 14.
Wow, just before independence. That's so nice. And let me
Yes,
tell you, he has won the Global Child Prodigy Award. He is in the India Book of Records. He has got an honor badge from Jakarta and so many other prizes. Ayan, where do you keep all these medals, trophies? What are they?
actually, I came here without my trophies. My trophies is in Mizoram.
Okay. Do you have space to keep all of them?
No,
No. Okay. So Ayan launched his first book when he was 3, and now you are 7. Why did you wait for four
no.
years?
I took 2 years to
Ayan, were you?
write my second book.
Oh, you took
I
two
took 2 years
years.
to write my second book. My first book,
Okay.
Honeycomb, came out in 2018. My second book, Bumblebee, came out in 2020. Talking about books, I feel just like a mother. My mother keeps her babies inside her womb for 9 months, but I came out in 7 months.
Oh, wow. So the next
Just
book
like
is
that,
going to come faster.
just like that, my babies, Honeycomb and Bumblebee, really needed time to grow. The difference is my womb isn't in my tummy, it's in my heart and in my brain.
Oh, that's so
So the
sweet of you,
ideas,
Ayan.
facts, and concepts really took time to grow. Because I don't want to write a book for the sake of writing. I want to write a book that really improves people's life. I want to write a book that adds the beauty and meaning. That's why I always balance my school studies and my writings. First,
Okay.
I listen to audio books. Then I observe nature, animals, birds, plants, trees, everything around me. And I also took few
Okay.
online courses on happiness.
Okay. So when you
I
say
choose
you
quality
write
and not quantity. If I
that,
have to wait for my second book, I'll wait.
that
Sometimes mothers give twins, triplets, or quadruplets. Just like that, if I want, I will give birth to many books at the same time.
great. So you are saying we should have patience, we should do it from the heart, and you want to spread happiness. What do you think is the biggest problem with all the grown up people? People like me, people like maybe your parents. What is their problem?
I think the biggest problem with grown up people is that they worry a lot. You worry when the weather's cold. You worry when it's not. You worry when you're doing well. You worry when you're not. It's worry, worry all the time. You don't know how to laugh. They'll think of something funny and they write your app off. I just wish that they retain the crazy little naughty child in them and they always stay happy.
Okay. Are you a naughty child or are you a good child?
I don't know.
You don't know? I will ask your mom then.
I don't know where she is, but I think I'm a good boy, not a naughty boy.
I am sure you are a good boy. You said you read a lot of audiobooks. So, who is your favorite
I listen to many
author?
audiobooks.
Tell that again, Ayan.
Actually, I listen to audio books, not read
Okay.
audiobooks.
I'm so sorry, my mistake. Yes, you listen to them. So, which ones are your favorite?
Oh, a lot of them.
Which one? Tell me a few names.
Oh, a lot. I love reading.
Okay,
There's
so
so
many
many
of
of
them.
them that I like. My recent favorite is Diary of a One. I don't know who wrote this, but I think it's very funny.
Okay. And your favorite from Bumblebee? Do you have a particular page that is your favorite, some a particular article? You want to read that out?
My book Bumblebee is about the secret key to love, happiness, and great health. How to raise us happy. How to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. How to take care of nature. How to love everyone. How to be grateful for everything. How to have a long and beautiful life. How to stay happy. These are my favorite topics. But if I have to pick or choose just one, I'll pick minimalism and essentialism. Minimalism addresses those tangible things that occupy space in our life. Essentialism addresses those intangible things that occupy space in our mind. I say this everywhere. Less is always more. If we have less things in our life, we can take care of them easily in less time. And we'll have more time to do what we really love to do. Yes, because I'm talking about my book. I'll recite a poem from my book. Plant
Very
a
good.
tree.
Please.
Do you thank the food that comes to you? Do you thank the person who cooks that food for you? Do you thank the farmer who takes care of plants and trees for you? Do you thank the trees and plants that gives you fruits and vegetables? Do you thank nature that nurtures those plants for you? Do you thank the bed you sleep on? Do you thank the desk you study on? Do you thank the paper made of bamboo you write on? Do you thank the clothes you put on that comes from cotton pods or leaf eating worms? Do you thank the rain that helps trees to grow? Do you thank the sun that helps in photosynthesis? Do you thank the trees that gives you oxygen? If you want to thank, plant a tree.
Wow. So you are not only thinking about so many things, you are also teaching us to be thankful, the value of gratitude. Thank you so much, Ayan, for that lesson. Tell me something. Do you always come first in class?
Yes,
Okay. And all your teachers, they love you?
yes.
Okay. So do you know or do you think that you are somebody very special?
First, I'm very grateful for the love people shower on me. But honestly, I don't love it when people treat me differently. I'm just a
Okay.
little boy. The sky of love for the whole universe, nature, and all other life forms. Whatever I write, do, or say is a manifestation of my love for Mother Nature. We all are different with different abilities. For example, if I can write and paint well, somebody else can sing and dance well. No one is above us, no one is below us. We all are equal but unique.
Wow, that's such a great lesson to learn and keep with you in life that we are all different, unique, and differently abled. So you just said you paint well. I think you have painted more than 500 paintings. Do you take painting lessons?
No, I don't take any formal lessons. Actually, there's no one in my family who will help me paint. Nobody understands painting. That's why I take the help of nature. I look around and if I see something interesting, I try to paint it. I think it's God who is helping me paint.
Okay, he paints the whole world, so he's definitely helping you. So what do you use to paint? Do you use color pencils, pastels, watercolors?
I use any kind of things I can use to color.
Okay, and which is the best painting that you have made? What is it about? Is it a flower? Is it skies? It is a forest? Which is your favorite painting?
My favorite painting.
Yes.
My favorite painting is the giraffe. It's a story
Oh, wow.
from my book Honeycomb.
Okay. So your first book, you called it Honeycomb, and your
Yes,
second book, you have called it Bumblebee. So everything has to do with bees. Do you love bees or do you love honey?
yes,
You love bees.
yes. I think
Why do you love?
bees are very helpful. That's why I made it my name's Honeycomb Bumblebee.
That's nice. And yes, bees are very very helpful in keeping nature's ecosystems alive. Tell me something. When anyone meets a child, they ask them, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And they say, someone will say, "I want to be a writer when I grow up." Someone says, "I want to be a painter when I grow up." You are already a writer, you are already a painter. What do you want to become when you grow up?
When I grow up, I want to be a life coach, writer, painter, space scientist, farmer, and nature lover. But most importantly, I want to be a kind, honest, and wise man.
Well, I am sure all our book lovers out there, those who are listening, think of you already as all of those things. You are kind, you are loving, and you are coaching us in life. So, do you want to unwrap the book and show it to everyone? Your
Yes.
second book? Yeah, let's unwrap it.
Hmm. Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Congratulations, Ayan, and thank you for giving Wow the honor of launching your second book, Bumblebee. Congrats.
Thank
And
you.
let me tell everyone, it's written in lyrical prose and it's a treat to read. So please order your copy from Amazon and you can always connect with Ayan
Yes.
on his blog and just show everyone this beautiful cover. And this cover is actually a photograph taken by Ayan. Am I right? Yes, Ayan? You took this photograph?
Yes.
Where did you take it? Is it in your garden? Or is it in some jungle or somewhere?
It's in the farm where Kaka works.
Oh, wow. And the theme is in the colors of the Indian flag. That's how much thought Ayan puts into his books. So, what a beautiful cover and what a beautiful photograph. And congratulations once again, Ayan. Can I
Thank you
ask
very
you a
much.
last question?
Okay.
So, with the COVID and the lockdown, can you tell me what you learned from this experience? Were you sad you couldn't go out and play with your friends?
I feel sad because I can go with my friends, but I'm also very happy because I don't want myself to be in danger. I don't want to put myself in danger, and I don't think putting myself in danger will help me do the things I really love to do.
Yes, and may God bless you and help you do everything that you want to do. And you are such a treasure to have with us today. And once again, many congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with Wow, and God bless you.
I hope they they always carry the truth, godliness, and beauty in their words and in their action.
Thank Thank you, Ayan. Thank you for those words of wisdom. And thank you for being with us. Welcome all our wow book lovers to another book launch session. And we have with us the very illustrious and accomplished author, Mrs. Shubha Sharma. She's an alumnus of LSR and JNU in Delhi and is an IS officer currently based in Odisha. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, to get on with the thing, I would first like to ask you. I know this is your second book, The Avastis of Amnagri. What is the central theme? Is it meant to be an entertaining novel? Is it supposed to showcase family values? Or is it an elegy, a nostalgic kind of hankering for a kind of life which is no longer there, which is of bygone eras?
This book, I would say, is a mixture of many flavors. I am particularly fond of good food, and I know that no single ingredient makes for a delicious fare. Similarly, in this book, there's humor, there is poignancy, there is suspense, there's mystery, and as you said, there's a lot of love and joy. Definitely, being a woman myself, I have very strong women characters who add a lot of depth to the storyline. At the same time, they have the perfect complement in the menfolk of the family. So there is this strong traction happening between the genders, between how relationships play out in the family, between the young and the old. It's a family of parents with four sons and three daughters, all of them married, all of them with children. So it's a large, big clan who have people working with them and staying with them for decades, who have pets, who live in the same rambling bungalow for many, many years, and how their lives play out against this backdrop. So, to say that there is only one theme is to negate the beauty, the deliciousness, and the flavor of the others. So, I would say it's a mixture of many beautiful flavors.
Great. So I think it's a mini India which is in your book. Your first book, Flying on the Wall, of course, got rave reviews from everyone, including Dr. Shashi Tharoor. It was a collection, and readers, let me tell you, it's a gem of a collection of short stories. So please grab it next time you're on Amazon or Flipkart. So, how difficult was it to transition from short stories to a novel?
You know, this was something which was asked of me repeatedly, even when I was launching my debut book. And at that time, I had a mental block against writing a novel because I thought it would be difficult to write in a sustained manner. I write in spurts because I am juggling many things in my life at the same time. So I write when I get the time and when I feel like it. So I thought that writing a novel required a certain amount of continuity, a thread which must run through a common story. And that is why I was, if I may confess, afraid to attempt a novel. Short stories were easier for me to write in one sitting or in two sittings, or at the most three sittings, I was able to complete my writing. But after I brought out my short stories, a lot of the readers came back to me and said, "You've literally wasted 13 good plots for beautiful novels. And if you had put each of these, you would have come out with 13 books." And my publisher got back to me and said that, okay, your short stories are doing very well, But the market is not in favor of short stories, and we'd be very happy if next time you tried your hand at a novel. The positive feedback and the good reviews boosted my confidence, and I thought, let me give it a try. Let's see how difficult is it. Let's see how challenging it is. And believe me, it was surprisingly easy because, in fact, I would say it's easier to write a novel in some ways than to write a collection of short stories, because those characters are there in your mind. Whether you write a 3,000 word short story or whether you write a 45,000 novella, which I have done in this case, you have to invest equally in the characters. You have to flesh them out equally. So when the characters are alive in your mind and you're living with them, it's just a minor question of going back and reading and maintaining some amount of consistency so that you don't really miss out on the finer aspects. So I didn't find it as difficult as I had apprehended that it might be. But yes, it has its own challenges of writing a novel.
Great. As you mentioned earlier, you have created strong women characters. At the center, the protagonist, so to speak, is Shakuntala, or Mataji as she's known in your book verse. You've also created, as a counterfoil to her, Indu, a much younger, spunkier version, one of the daughters in law of the family. Who do you identify yourself with?
Honestly, Madhulika ji, if I was to start identifying with many the different characters that I have in my book, whether men or women, I don't know, I would be multiple split personality or something. So it's not that I identify with any character, uh, or maybe I do and I don't realize it. But there must be common traits somewhere. But I create characters which I observe other people. So I might have bits and pieces of people that I have lived with, people that I have worked with, and my work in the administration gives me this unique opportunity to meet a large variety of people from different cross sections of the country, from different parts of the world sometimes, and from different strata of society. And subconsciously, and I realize that now, I file away information about interesting people in my mind somewhere. I file away names that intrigue me, or some quality or characteristic trait that I really noticed. Maybe I liked it, maybe I disliked it, and when I'm writing, somewhere it creeps in on its own. So it's a very subconscious process, and I don't think I identify with any character fully. But yes, there are pieces of me in the daughter-in-law independence streak, or there are pieces of me in Mata Ji's authoritarian way of running the house, and my focus on being organized and trying to be as efficient as possible. But yes, there would be a lot of shades of me and of others. And in this novel, I have borrowed heavily from my own large clan of relatives and some friends, but mostly I have a huge clan of relatives, so I borrowed heavily from them. And that is how this novel and characters have come about.
So let me phrase it differently. Do you think in 30 years you would identify with Mataji?
I will just take one step back. In my parents' generation, a lot of them did not call their mothers by as ma or amma or mummy or whatever, because everybody in the house had a particular name for the mother, whether it was bhabi or it was, in this case, as I've used the phrase mataji. The staff in the house, the other family members would refer to people by certain names. So my own grandfather was referred to as Daduaji. My grandmother was referred to as Mataji. So I think these are characters which have a certain amount of reality to them, but there's also a lot of fiction in them. Now, Mataji, after 30 years, is a woman who's alone, whose children have grown up, who's trying to tackle the empty nest syndrome, who's yearning for company of her husband and of her children and grandchildren. I think this is a very normal and common phenomena with most women who give up the prime years of their life to look after their family members, whether it's their parents or in-laws or children or husband or running the household. And at the end of 2 or 3 decades, when everybody has moved on, they suddenly find themselves standing at a point where there's nobody around them. I've seen this happen with friends. I've seen this happen with relatives. I've seen this happen with my own parents to some degree. So I would consciously not want to be in that position. I would not want to be so dependent and so depressed about the empty nest syndrome, ideally. And I would try to therefore cultivate other hobbies and keep myself engaged in different ways. But then, who has seen the future? And I have no clue where it will actually take me. So I can only hope that I don't end up there, but I leave it to God for the rest of it.
Yes, I hope the future is everything that you're planning to make it to be. You mentioned satire, you mentioned humor as what sets this book apart. Would you care to read out a passage which kind of illustrates these two streets? A short one, please.
It will be a pleasure. It will be a pleasure.
Yeah.
So this is a scene where Mataji's younger brother, who is referred to as Chote Bhaiya, has come home, and because he is planning to set up a new venture, she has invited an astrologer who can look at the horoscope and give some advice on how the venture should proceed. So this is the scene starts there. This is Mataji speaking. Pranam Baba. I'm so glad that you could find some time to visit us. I have heard so much about you from our neighbor, Mrs. Tiwari. Please meet Baba knows everything. This is the astrologer speaking. Who are you? Who are they? With his yoke danda, the holy man gestured towards Panditji and Chote Bhaiya. This world is nothing but a mirage in which we see ourselves. But what we see is not our true form. It is a mere shadow, a reflection. Fools get taken in by the outer covering, which is nothing but a hollow shell. Ah, but these things cannot be learnt in one sitting. Impatiently, with an imperious wave, the sage motioned to Mataji to sit at his feet on the floor. Mataji hastily complied. Chote Bhaiya followed reluctantly. I'll send some fruit and water for Babaji. Panditji escaped into the adjacent room, from where he could discreetly watch the entire proceedings. The thought of finding the meaning of life while gazing at the mud-stained feet of a necromancer was abhorrent to him, and he refused to do so, even for the sake of keeping marital peace. I will have to have a word with Tiwari tomorrow, Panditji muttered to himself. The old chap needs to check his wife's philosophical leanings, or at least ensure that they remain within the boundary of his house. I cannot afford to have her put these absurd ideas into Mataji's head. Baba worship. He turned his attention back to the scene unfolding on the other side of the curtain. Babaji, we are indeed honored to receive you at our humble abode. You are a true believer, good woman, but you are tormented by a terrible weight on your mind. Mataji looked perplexed while the Baba continued. Ever since you left your father's house 35 years ago, you have never felt at home. Mataji's eyes turned moist. This is your brother. He does not live with you. You wish that he did, so that you could unburden yourself to him, so that you could share your pain with someone, with a loved one. Your husband does not understand you. Panditji stared at the curtain full of shock and surprise. He was at a loss for words. Though his lips were moving, no sound emerged. After a few moments, he regained control and turned towards Chaya. Chaya is his daughter-in-law. The old coot, what he is saying would apply to all the women in this world. Chaya giggled and went into the drawing room with a glass of water on an ornate silver tray that was used only for special guests. The Baba was droning. You have 4 sons and 4 daughters. The women are not born of you. Your own daughters number 3. They live in different cities to the south. Panditji muttered, now that's an intelligent guess, considering that there is only Nepal in the north of Amnagri. All other places have to be in the south. But Mataji had heard enough. Baba's omniscience about her family had put her mind at rest. She saw it all as clear as daylight. The man was truly gifted. Oh, venerable one, you are aware of everything. I am indebted to you for coming here today. This is my brother Ashok. But you already know that. Babaji, he needs your blessings. He is beginning a new venture and we want to. Instead of uttering the customary blessing, the miracle man started shivering. Are, what happened, Babaji? Are you all right? Are you feeling cold? Mataji directed a baffled stare at Chote Bhaiya, begging for an explanation, but he looked equally dumbfounded. It was unsettling to see a man shiver in the warmth of a balmy April evening. Mataji realized that it was futile to expect any assistance from her brother. She called out to her Bahu, Chaya, oh Chaya, run and get a blanket. So this is a part, and I just wanted to let you know that in this story, it turns out in the end that in this particular chapter, that this was a fake fellow who was milking Mataji's naivete and her belief in the practice of seeking the advice of sages and gurus, and how he makes a fool out of them. And that's how I wanted to show that the book has a lot of humor, a lot of satire, and I hope it's entertaining for the readers.
Well, if the readers want to find out exactly how the Baba was exposed, they have to order their copy from Amazon and Flipkart, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers will do. And you mentioned good food and that you have such a full work day that you write in spurts. So what keeps you going? How do you do your research meticulously, or you are one of those who just wakes up in the middle of the night with the idea of the plot of your next chapter and starts writing?
I think best when I am exercising in the morning, frankly. When I'm running, my mind comes out with new ideas. And I don't know, somehow that's one of the most creative times of my workday, maybe because I'm completely free. I don't have to think about work or about the house or about the children. So I get my ideas then. And sometimes I jot them down, sometimes I just let them be there. And whenever I get a window to write, which is not very often in the last few years, I write. And I just write whatever comes to me. If it's a subject which requires some research, then I keep doing the research. And thanks to computers, and I think my laptop is my favorite device in the house, I just keep on accumulating things there. So when I need, I go back and I refer to the research part. And I simply write when I feel like it and when I have the time. So the two have to match. I've been feeling like writing for the last 2 or 3 days, but I haven't had the time trying to do too many things. So yeah, that is the two parameters that have to work for me. The ideas are always there. Even now, I think I'm bubbling over with some 3 or 4 ideas which I want to put down to paper, but I have to be patient. And sometimes it works for the better because it's like wine, it ferments, it takes time, it ages, and then the idea comes out better. And sometimes you just forget something, and so it's your loss.
So I think our viewers and our book lovers have been patient enough. It's time to actually launch the book. So if we can unwrap it, let me tell the readers, it has an amazing cover, which actually inspired me to dress the way I am dressed today, because the cover talks about parrots and silk sarees. So many congratulations, Shubhaji,
Thank you.
on the release of your second book, and we hope this meets with even greater success than The Fly on the Wall. And congratulations once again. Just in passing, this book is about the old world era, about joint families, which we only remember from our childhood. How do you bring it closer to uh, Gen Z? What's the trick to do that?
I would look at your question in two ways. One is that, yes, Gen Z is important, but I am very much in love with Gen Y, that is you and me. I think ours is a very interesting generation. Even at the age of 40 plus, we feel young. I mean, when I look back at my childhood, when my mom was maybe 40 plus, she used to behave in a manner that was maybe very different from what we do. We enjoy ourselves as much as we take care of our responsibilities. So my book is definitely meant for Gen Y and even for Gen X because our parents are still around and they are very fond of reading. In fact, they read more than maybe we do at this stage, and especially in these times when most of us are confined to our homes. So my book definitely is meant for Gen X and Gen Y. And at the same time, I think the themes that I've handled in the book, which is about looking inward, looking within you for strength, looking at your family, your loved ones, your friends, the people who you've spent a large part of your lives with. These are values which are timeless and universal. Whether it is the people who are now 18 years old or 25 years old or 28 years old, they are still deeply connected to their families. It may be nuclear families, but the family is still there. And somehow, in fact, I find that Gen Z is in many ways more rooted and more attached to their families and their homes than perhaps Gen Y was. I see a lot of young people coming back to their roots, coming back to live with their families, their parents, and working from home. And I think this whole COVID-19 pandemic has changed our perspective on a lot of things. So I do not see a disconnect between the values that I have espoused in this book and the values that I see because I have young kids. I see the values that they are carrying. I see their friends. So there's a deep connection. And I also interact very liberally on some social media platforms such as Twitter, where I find people far younger, maybe 2 decades younger to me, very actively engaging with me. So they have a different perspective on things, which is, I find it more refreshing and more interesting than a lot of other perspectives. But at the same time, it's a perspective which is deeply rooted to the self, to the family, and to your loved ones. So I would hope that Gen X, Y, and Z would all pick up this book.
Absolutely. So I would request all our book lovers who are from Gen X, Y, and Z to please order their copy of the Avastis of Avnagri from Amazon or Flipkart. Once again, many congratulations and thank you for joining us today and for giving us and wow the honor of launching your book. Thank you, Shubha.
Thank you, Madhulika ji. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. So, welcome all of you book lovers there to Valley of Words Literature Festival, fourth edition, and we are gathered here today for the book launch of a young, dynamic, upcoming author who's based out of the Middle East. Welcome to the launch today, Priyanka.
Thank you so much.
And to just tell our she lives and writes in Dubai. And her first debut book is a collection of short stories So, Priyanka, what do you think is the central theme tying these stories up? Are they moral stories, adventure stories for children, fables? How would you define the book?
Okay, so Tales from the Himalayas is a compilation of 17 stories. And some of these stories, I would say, they're inclined to raise questions and kind of encourage discussion among the children about various topics. But some of them, I wouldn't call these moral of the story. I would just, it's not meant to be preachy or, you know, moral basically, but they are just thought provoking, I would call it. And some other stories are just adventure stories. Some of them are just for fun. They're high on entertainment value. So it's a mixed bag of stories, really. But the central theme, I would say, is appreciation of the small joys and small pleasures of life.
Right. And nice things, of course, we know come in small packages like children. So these 17 tales, how many of you how many of them are rooted in your own childhood? Like which of these characters is like you would say there is a lot of you in that particular character?
Sure. So I've grown up listening to different versions of some of these stories. These were narrated to me by my grandmother in the form of folk tales and folklore from Uttarakhand, where she grew up. But what I've done is I've adapted some of these folk tales into stories of my own, which kind of are updated to reflect the times that we live in. So, one of these stories called Kafal in the book was originally called Fool Kumari. And this is a story that I remember I would request my grandmother to tell me over and over again. So, it's something that I've grown up with and loved, and it's kind of part of me now. So this story and another story called "The Biggest Gift" in the book. It's another adaptation of a folktale, and it's about the Kumauni nut. It's the large nose ring that women wear. So yes, again, I've adapted that as well to kind of be more relatable to children in the world that we live in. So yes, and as for characters that I've written about, well, I put in a lot of my own characteristics in them. So, for example, one character is really, really inquisitive and curious, and asked a lot of questions, can be annoying, and but that's actually what I was like. I had plenty of questions to ask everybody I met. So this is basically kind of a reflection of what I was. Also, some of the stories have kids that are just looking for trouble, looking for adventure, and get in trouble because they're naive and innocent, and they have a very non-jaded, non-cynical kind of perspective of life. And that was me then, and that is me now as well. So yeah, a lot of me goes
Right.
into this in the book.
There, I recall a story called Postcard, which is part of this collection, which won a prize at the Emirates Literature Festival. So, could you tell us or read out a small excerpt from it?
Sure. So the story called Postcard, it's the last story in the book, and it's very close to my heart because I drew from personal experience. It's basically about a story about this little boy who kind of deals with his grandfather's deteriorating condition. So so he looks for closure, you know, and kind of comes to terms with how he loses his grandfather at the end of the story. So yeah, that was my story as well. So I'm gonna read a small excerpt from the book. So it says, "My grandfather's bicycle always struck me as a very odd object. It was big, strong, and sturdy enough to ride along the steep and rough mountains, but it was also the most uncomfortable ride in the world. It was painted black, so I always called it the Black Elephant. I would stare at it in awe every time Boo Boo, that's my grandfather, rushed out of the house, sliding it off its heavy stand on which it rested while when parked. He would always urge me to hurry up after him. He would tilt the bicycle sideways towards me so I could prop myself on the carrier behind him and sit on a makeshift seat. The bicycle endured the bumps and slippery gravel along the narrow lanes of Missouri as Bubu navigated the sharp bends effortlessly. The aroma of burning coal and boiling rice melted into the air when we cycled to the edge of the village, but it quickly changed into a strong woody musk as the bicycle glided into the pine forest. Even when I closed my eyes, I could tell exactly where we were passing through just from what I smelled. So, yes, that's it for now.
That was a really short excerpt. Want to read a few more lines?
Well, read the entire story for the rest of it.
No, I think you've done an Arabian Nights on our book lovers out there, and basically piqued their interest and make sure that as soon as we launch the book, they log on to Amazon and order their copy. I noticed when you were reading out the excerpt, a lot of nature in your narration of the tales. So, what or how do you bring that in? How does it add? And is it something that comes naturally, or is it something you have deliberately tried to weave in?
So I think as a writer, one of the most important qualities one should have is of observation, a keen sense of observation. So when my trips to Uttarakhand, such a beautiful place, I tried to kind of take in as much as I could from all my senses: the sights, the sounds, the smell, the textures, and when I kind of assimilated those thoughts and it came out in my writing, I think you can see that, when I use all my senses. So this is basically a result of that.
Great. Another story I recall is The Villain. Now, you live in Dubai, which is like very multi ethnic, multicultural, and kind of epitomizes tolerance. Do you think your experience helped you write that story?
Actually, like I said, it's actually very little to do with my living in Dubai and more to do with my growing up in India because as a child I grew up amidst a lot of casual colorism and prejudice against skin color. This is something that's so deeply ingrained in society there, and it's important for children to address this and to discuss it and get to the root of the problem. And so yeah, this is why I decided to include this theme in one of the stories. I hope I've done justice to putting it across in a very entertaining manner, because this is a story about it's actually a quasi funny story about school production of Ram Leela. So yes, I hope I put the point across.
Okay, and you are, of course, a young, dynamic writer who's mostly done business and travel pieces as a professional. So, how difficult was it to change your perspective to write for children?
So growing up, I've been a voracious reader. I was into classics. I was into Indian writing as well. I used to love Malgudi Days and a lot of Ruskin Bond's books. So this is the kind of writing that I grew up reading, right? So it kind of influenced me to write my own stories. Apart from my professional writing, I was always into writing my own short stories. Some were funny, some were humor writing, some were just slice of life stories. So yeah, I was always writing these stories side by side. So it wasn't a really a conscious change in perspective or writing style when I wrote this book. It just came very naturally to me.
Great. And you, of course, have a young child. So, are you the kind of mother who tells them bedtime stories every day? Do they think you are a really good storyteller?
Yeah, so not only bedtime stories, but I tell her stories throughout the day. Whenever she's up to mischief, I said, just come and let's read a story. So she's grown to love that because I've started doing that at a very early age. And I do think that she thinks I'm a good storyteller because she always comes to me with a book for reading. She never goes to her father. So I think that's her seal of approval right there.
Yes, that's a big thumbs up. And when your book, of course, has got rave reviews from an acclaimed children's story writer like Ruskin Bond. So, in terms of did you make a conscious decision to change the words, the language, the construct to appeal more to children, or is it a book that appeals more to grown-ups and makes them relive their childhood?
I think you just write from your heart. You don't think about who's going to read and who's going to enjoy it and who am I writing for. You write what you write. And so I've also grown up reading a lot of, I still, as an adult, I love reading children's stories and young adult stories. So this is, I think good writing should appeal to everybody. So this was my endeavor. And I think a lot of adults have enjoyed it. And I hope children enjoy it too. So yes, like I said, I keep saying that
Right.
as a writer, you are what you read, and I read a lot. I consume a lot of stories for children. It's my best. It's my favorite genre.
So, as a voracious reader, who are your favorite authors from your childhood, from now? Which book would you treat like your comfort take to bed book?
Oh, that would be the Jungle Book, for sure. So Rudyard Kipling is one of my favorite writers. He is beyond excellent for children. And Ruskin Bond also I grew up reading. I also read a lot of Roald Dahl. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is one of my favorites. Um, Yes, so a lot in Britain, of course. So I read a lot of these. I read a lot of classics as well. Huckleberry Finn being one of my favorites. As a young adult, I read Uncle Tom's Cabin, which had a lot of impact on me. Growing up, it remains my favorite book. So yeah, these are some of the influences. Of course, Mulberry Days is the book that got me reading, that got me started on my journey. So yes,
Well,
these are some of the books.
that's amazing. And I remember, since you mentioned Kipling, reading a story called Rikki Tikki Tavi back in school
Mhm.
and thoroughly enjoying it. So, yes,
Yeah,
you are what you read, and that filters down to what you write. So, how about giving all our book lovers a glimpse of this great collection of short stories? So, if we can unwrap it and launch it officially.
sure. Yay. Thank you. Lovely wrap. So there it is. Thank you. Thank you so much for unveiling the book. The cover is from one of the stories in the book. It's a true life story of Nain Singh Rawat, who was one of the greatest explorers from India in the 19th century. And it is about his journey to Lhasa. Actually, he was credited with determining the altitude of Lhasa single-handedly under disguise of a monk. So this is a scene from that story.
Wow. And have you been to Lhasa?
Lhasa, no, but I hope to someday. I have been to Uttarakhand a lot, though. Yes.
Okay, let me tell you, you must visit Lhasa and the Dalai Lama's palace. Uh, it's
I
an
really do hope.
amazing. Yes, it's a stark landscape, which I think would appeal to an author because then you can put your characters and your stories right on that setting. So, and you are a travel writer, so I would love to read something from your journey to Lhasa if, as and when you make it.
Hope so.
So many
One day.
congratulations
Thank you
on
so much.
your
Thank you so
book,
much.
Tales from the Himalayas. And let me tell all our viewers out there, please definitely reach out for this publication from Rupa. You can order it from Amazon. And just as a passing question, Priyanka, you know, the first book is like almost like giving birth to your first child. You know, there's just something so special about it.
That's so true.
So, are there any regrets that you're launching your first book in a virtual way? COVID impacted, instead of doing it like amidst a great big literary community all gathered together, clapping away for you.
Actually, it's quite the opposite because we live in very special times. This is the time that we're never going to forget in our lives, henceforth. So, yes, it's a time of struggle and despair and loss, but it's also a time for resilience and unity and global community feeling. So, yes, launching has it been challenging? Yes, it has because I haven't been able to get in touch with my readers, physically, and it's all been virtual. But I also think that it's a symbol for hope, and it's a symbol of positivity because I have been able to realize this dream of writing a book and publishing a book, and against insurmountable odds and very unexpected, in a very unexpected climate. So it's about, uh, working hard and kind of thinking positively, and I think anything can happen. So yes, I take it on a positive note.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, it is a symbol of hope and it is a symbol of joy for a lot of our readers out there when they get their hands on your book. So congratulations once again. Thank you for connecting with Wow and giving us the honor of launching your book. And we wish you a lot of success and hope to see you in person in our next edition at Dehradun. So thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for launching the book.